Hello and welcome to Locked In FPL. We're here for the Game Week 10 episode. I'm joined by a very special guest today, one of my first ever ITKs, team leaker, renowned FPL account, FPL Bhuna, aka Charles Watts, aka City Extra, aka Anfield Express, aka Spawn Cop, and aka anyone else who has team news. Anyway, jokes aside, I'm really glad to have Bhuna here with me today. Today, he's arrived as his alter ego, Charles Watts, as you can see on camera there. I'm hoping he's not put his voice through a robotic machine so that we can't recognize who he is in real life. But yeah, I'm excited to have you here, man. And I had to put Darwin on the photo, but we'll talk about that a bit later. For anyone who's new, just quickly before I bring Bhuna in, we're going to go through kind of Bhuna's history, how he got into FPL, his play style, how he got into leaking and fake team news as well, if you want to discuss some of that. And then we'll really go into Game Week 10 and look at our main dilemmas before we ourselves get locked in. Please put your questions in the chat. We will timestamp the Q&A at the end and answer all your questions in case you can't be here for the full show. But yeah, without further ado, welcome to the channel, Bhuna. Welcome, or should I say Charles Watts?
Good evening. Yes, FPL Charles Watts to you, Nima, but absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me onto your channel. I'm looking forward to telling everyone a little bit about me and giving you all some FPL tips.
I love it.
So no one ever.
Yeah, it's nice to see you back. I saw obviously there was a couple of things were going on. Like I saw you created a new account and there was a few people who were very upset saying like good riddance that you lost your previous account. Turns out that shadow ban is gone because I see you're now back and active again on the big boy account.
We're back, and we're on FPL Juice on Saturday in the studio for the deadline stream, so I'll have to plan something for that one.
On that note, I actually have a video of some funny moments with you. But so for anyone who doesn't know, so Bhuna, I think you've been around the FPL community before I was. You were streaming yourself. I remember a lot of the stuff back in the day, even the Discord stuff, I think I remember. And, you've been here in this community on X or Twitter, as it was called before me. We met obviously at the, the fest and the meets and stuff. And you were one of the early pioneers, like founding members of FPL Meets at literally, it was September 21 was the first one. And then I think October 2021, you're there. So like just going into that straight away before we talk about FPL, the photo on the left here, that was actually the October 2021 meets, like the second one ever. We'd gone up from 4 or 5 people to like 7, 8 people before the days of 50 to 100 people at the Gameweek 38 meets. On the right-hand side, that was, I think, February 2022. So a few months later, the meets were getting bigger. We'd moved venues. We even have name tags. I see you have a name tag. I'm not sure what your name tag says. I think it says inject on it. For anyone on podcast. So you're famous for obviously the picture of the guy with your photo of your face on the huge needle with the inject it. You've done the injections live in front of me to my dismay and my FPL assets. I guess tell us how you got into FPL. I want to know any favorite memories, maybe from that season you finished in the top 3K, and how long you've been playing, maybe even bad memories, Bhuna.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do we start? So I've been playing FPL for, I was having a look because you asked me to, 11 years now, which in the grand scheme of things, I know there's a lot of FPL managers that have been around way longer than that. But I started about 11 years ago. It all started with I think it was a World Cup or a Euros on Sun Dream Team. That's where I started and got into fantasy. And from then, enjoyed it so much. I then found out about Fantasy Premier League, and that's where I sort of started. In terms of memories, the 3.2K, which I've never got close to again, which was 5 years ago. The fondest memory of that season was triple captaining Salah in a single game week, where he scored 15 points when not many people had him captain. And he scored a second goal in the last minute in extra time. I don't know if anyone remembers, it was home to Watford, and he backflipped it for a defender's legs. So that was probably my fondest memories. Apart from that, for those that were there at Fantasy Football Fest, I obviously did the Jesus fake news live in front of everyone, which is probably my second fondest memory playing fantasy football, which caught out a lot of managers. And in terms of my saddest memories, again, was probably at FPL Meets. You'll remember Dennis versus King, the triple captain game week.
Yes, that was, I think, the meetup before this one, so January 2020.
Yeah.
So from in between these two photos, so you used to come to every single meet.
So I had Josh King as triple captain, who blanked albeit it wasn't as bad as Dennis, who I think got sent off, if memory serves me correctly, and he was on some awful points as a triple captainer. So that was, not the greatest of memories. And you'll remember this, Nima, a particular FPL Meets before we all moved on to the Thirsty Bear, when we were based in London Bridge, and I had triple Arsenal defence, whose clean sheet got wiped out in the 92nd or 93rd minute, and I had every single person there injecting me. So that wasn't the greatest, but I guess that's karma, right? You know what goes.
I love that. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, I guess so many will have blocked you anyway, so like they can avoid your fake news. I know one time you changed your handle on X, and when you tried to change it back, it had been stolen. So then you just started changing the display name, not the handle, for a bit. So there was a lot of journey. I saw there was one time you leaked someone was out or something, and I think someone sold him for a hit in like some cash mini league they were in, and then they start sending you abuse in Arabic, and you click the like C translation button and the quote retweets, and they're like want to murder you. And a lot of people told me like, Bhuna's a dick, this. Obviously, I met you in real life, and I always thought you love FPL. You're just like the rest of us. You're a big part of the community, and I didn't care so much because obviously my thing is you got to have attention to detail. And I thought in some ways I've actually tried to defend you in the past as a fake team leaker by saying that you just teach them about attention to detail in real life, because cybercrime and fraud has got so much more sophisticated in this day and age that if you can't see that like your account is not the account whoever you're impersonating that weekend at the time, then at least they got caught by that for something like FPL and their team, rather than actually their bank account and the money they could have lost, or their identity theft, or whatever else could have happened to them. Because if they're falling for that, I get it. It's close to deadline, you're scrolling, you panic. But most weeks, there's people grifting and speculating and making educated guesses about lineups and growing followings of it. You just took the piss and had fun. At least you're not those guys pretending to have team news that's real and then claiming the victories and deleting the wrong ones. You're just there trying to troll people, catch them out, and you're just having a great time laughing about it. So I think we got on very well when we first met. But ultimately, I think a lot of people hate you a lot. And I'd be interested to know what Trigger thinks in the chat. He obviously hates team leakers. I know he was upset when the likes of he said Rockstar's fanboys came after him when he wanted the deadline move. He did a podcast about it back in those days. So I don't know if he also hates you for being a fake team leaker, but a lot of people I know, Bhuna, in group chat.
I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Did you see my real news 2 weeks ago? What fake news, bro?
I couldn't believe that. Yeah, when you got the info right, it was like unbelievable moment. Hopefully you'll break some news on Saturday at Juice as well. But separate to that, I just want to say at the Fest one, I remember that vividly because it was game week 1. Jesus had just arrived at Arsenal, and you said he scored and started running up and down the aisle during the quiz, I think it was, and celebrating. And I was sat somewhere and I heard this and I was like, yes, I've got Jesus in my game week 1 team. He banged. And then I realized afterwards that he got no points. And that was one of the most disappointing, because the tangent I went off on about your whole Twitter ego is all the people who blocked you. I bet half of them were at that Fest. And they thought, yes, I can avoid fake team news. I've blocked Bhuna. I've got his injections out of my life. And then bang, you came and tried to inject them in person with a fake.
Yeah, I was like, what, you're going to block me in person as well?
The best so that was hilarious.
The keyboard warriors that you find on Twitter, who sometimes, I understand the frustration, especially if I've given some fake news that has, really effed your team up. Sorry for the language. But if it has, the funny thing is, when you see these people in person, they're like little mouses. They won't say anything to you.
I think that's the thing, right? I always like to I think you do a great job. So Trigger says doing a great job spreading false leaks will teach people for trying to gain an unfair advantage. I love that. Oh, that is so funny. So yeah, so inject it. And I guess just to wrap up, and we'll go into more about your FPL stuff. So really, that day you then got injected back. I remember it vividly. Because obviously you're a Tottenham fan, for anyone who doesn't know. I'm an Arsenal fan. I remember we took a photo before a North London derby at me. So, we have our rivalry. And you were on the way saying how you wanted like Arsenal to get battered. And like you were on a wild card and you were like, fuck them. I don't have any of their defenders. Screw them. Within that message, and when you arrived at FPL Meets after the deadline that morning for the 12:30 kickoff, you'd gone from having no Arsenal defenders to triple Arsenal defense. So it was like
But that wasn't in the North London derby though. I would never do that.
No. That wasn't in the North London derby. I will say that.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was a different Meets. Yeah. So, but I mean, in general, I was just painting the picture of you as the Tottenham fan for the viewers, and so yeah, you ended up with this triple Arsenal defense, clean sheet, 92nd minute. When that got wiped, to see a room of 30, 40 people turn on you and inject you after all you'd done to them over the different meetups and online.
It's only fair though, right?
That's what I mean. So you took it when it came to you.
I love it. If I can give it, I expect to take it. Do you know what I mean?
But how did you feel in that moment?
I give it.
But how did you feel though in that moment? How did you feel with
mate,
I
just wanted to crawl I wanted to crawl under a rock.
But even with and then you got 30 people laughing as well, right? So how much worse did that make it feel?
You know, what goes around comes around. How many people have we trolled at those meets as well? You know, like I was so gutted that I wasn't there the other week. There was it West Ham? I can't remember. I remember seeing a picture of FPL fella and he was just heads in his hands. Who did West Ham play that day?
It was the Tottenham when it was at 4-1.
Oh yeah, it was Tottenham, exactly. I was obviously busy. I wanted to make that one, but just being there, you just know if I was there, it would have made his life 10 times worse.
You know what?
And on that note as well, I just want to. I know we're talking about it, but I just want to plug for anyone that isn't aware of FPL Meets. Nima, just tell them a little bit about what you do.
Good point. Yeah, I don't really talk about it enough. Yeah, so obviously we started, as I say, in September 2021 after a few of us met at Fest, including Dread FPL, one of our kind of members of the channel too. And he's in the video I'm about to show before we move on to real FPL and look at your team and our decisions for Game Week 10. But so, you know, at these first meetups, it was just a handful of us. And then people started tweeting saying, oh, what's this exclusive VIP meetup? Like, how come it's not publicly talked about? Why can't I come? I'm like, bro, like anyone can come. It's a pub.
I forgot about all of that. I forgot.
Yeah, do you remember there was drama at the beginning?
I remember those conversations.
Then when the photos got bigger and it was bigger groups at the meetups, the next thing you notice is like, then there'll be all other kinds of weird comments as it kind of spilled from FPL Twitter to
then do you remember Twitter? Like, these nerds?
Yeah, it'll be like, look at these virgins all meeting up and stuff. Look at all these nerds. So I've never seen a bigger bunch of virgins in my life. There was the one which was like, someone said, oh, there's like, I thought this is England. Why are there so many Indians? And I was like, what? And then racial shit started coming out. Then one guy was like, oh, it's all white guys. And then I look at that photo and I'm like, there's like a Middle Eastern, an Indian, a Nigerian, someone Chinese, English people. I was like, and then one time it would be like hashtag sausage fest. Because back in those days,
oh my God, I remember that one as well.
Yeah. And then when there was women in the photos, then they move on to the next insult. So it's like every week people were coming for me. Some people said, oh, we have a skepticism about what you're doing the meetups for. We think you're going to try and like monetize at some point, or, you know, once you got us in and got our data and got us as leads, you're going to do something. And I kept saying, guys, like this is a community, not a business. Like we just want people to meet up offline. COVID had just stopped in the sense that we could start to go out again without as many restrictions. And we all loved FPL. And we just wanted to, after having spoken online in the you know, the kind of, what do you call them? I've forgotten the name of the phrases now. Lockdown. I kept pulling it locked in. I was like lost for words there. Yeah.
That's your channel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So that's the plug. Basically, they're now normally every couple of like months or so. And they used to be every month, but every couple of months. It's when we have a good televised game on a Saturday for the 12:30 and 5:30. We have Soccer Saturday at 3 p.m. And like 20, 30 FPL managers, a lot of people coming for the first time, many returning regulars. We just meet up in London, watch the games, have a good time, look at our points come in or red arrows. Whenever Bhuna's there, you get injected if your player's blank. So that's quite tough to deal with. But apart from that, you can give it back to him if he's at the one where his team.
It's a great, really inclusive environment for those that are sort of unsure about what it would be like, what the atmosphere would be like. Like, who's all these troll accounts? Like, I'm popular. You know, when you've got like troll accounts in the comments, you know you've made it, innit? Keep it coming, man. Keep it coming.
I love it. This reminds me of when Trigger Lips Nick was on. Someone in the comments wrote quickest dislike of my life or something, and I replied like, "Oh yeah, like thanks, whatever." And I was like, you know, and then they told me afterwards that it was actually like just a kind of throwaway comment. They didn't think I would like the way I would read it or it would impact me, and they were just saying it because they didn't like Nick. So I've realized I bring a lot of I guess characters onto here that are from the community. But somehow people try to make you guys social pariahs or try to treat you differently. And I know Nick always says he feels he's treated differently because he's out there in New Zealand. You know, he's in a different time zone and he feels it's unfair. I know you probably don't care about the abuse you might get because you give it and you get it, as you said. But yeah, overall, I just like to think everyone who plays FPL, like we have something in common. And for the same reason the meetups exist, like I just want to bring a guest on every week to this channel, get to know how you got into the game, and just have fun deciding what we're going to do for our team next week, right? Very casual, fireside chat. So with that in mind, let's look at your video of you injecting people and we'll move on to FPL. So
this is years ago, isn't it?
yeah, so this is actually a still photo from you know, like the video I'm about to show. So, you know, Mariner's here from the Net That Whole days with us. He has the Net That Whole t-shirt. You got FPL Harry at the back. If you look right behind me, I'm covering my face in shock. And I think right behind him is FPL Harry. Like, it looks like he's necking a pint in frustration.
And Nima, you look like you've lost a couple pounds since then as well. Fair play to you, bro.
Thank you. Yeah. I'll tell you about that. But so you see, I think there's Surya in the background from All About FPL. You're there. There's a lot of people. This was one of the bigger ones. So this video, honestly, it makes me laugh. So please, if you're listening on podcast or video, maybe put your volume down briefly. I don't know how loud this will be compared to the rest of the pod, but this is just a 9-second clip of this frame. And that's Dread as well, right at the front. So I think it was Bowen. A lot of people had Bowen from West Ham, and he had just blanked. Final whistle went. And you and Dread just absolutely lost it. This is when you were injecting it your maximum.
Yeah, come on! Inject that Bowen blank, baby! Come on! Yeah!
Yeah, Dread right at the end, just kind of there with the backup.
Good times.
Yeah, good times, man. So those were the early days. But you know, we're 16 minutes in. I know some people are here for FPL as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Before we do, let's give a couple of shout outs and then we'll go to your team. I think that's the best thing we can do. Do a couple of quick shout outs, actually. So, who have we got here first? Let's see. Let's pull up some names on screen. So, first in the chat tonight, Colin Boogler, you managed to get the real Charles Watts. Capital maybe has you blocked, only here to support Nima. Animations, evening all, glad to be here. Podner, what's up, Podners? I'm here to support Colin. Animations here to support Bhuna, so there's a real mix. FPL Sparta, good to see you, buddy. All right, all. There were some bets about when we go live. It looks like Sparta was right, 5-10. BW Splitter, howdy all. One Life Soccer TV, good to see you, my friend. Been a while. Evening all. Why is this so late? I'll
tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because of Nima taking a work call at 5:10. That's why, guys. Guy told me to be in the lobby for 4:45, and I'm there 5:10.
And you're there, like in the background. I saw you start uploading photos of Charles Watts, change your name. You were like, what do I do with this extra time I have? So I heard that Charles Watts was having some tech problems. Buffy, Ahmed, Beamer did it again. Bhuna not coming. Fake. So you've made it. You're here for real.
Made it, man. Honestly.
Okay, Zali, I thought his name was Charles T something. Is he in Iceland? Looks like a seller in Svalbard. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Gary Horwood. Wow, Bhuna. That's a voice I've not heard for a long time.
Very long time. Harbour Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Harbour Boy himself. Firetog as well. Bhuna reporting live from the Antarctica. There's a lot of comments about your jacket you're wearing for anyone in podcast who's wondering what
I had to wear something that made people, you know, put some comments in the chat. So there we go, guys. It worked.
It's worked. It's definitely worked. Gary Swan, greetings, chaps. I'm late on parade. So Gary Swan is FPL Chess, if you remember him. Trigger Talks FPL Morning All. He said, is Bhuna recording from a Siberian prison cell? So it's definitely
almost
a lot of
correct. That is almost correct. Fair play. What a guess.
What a guess. SK with the triple injection. Getty FPL, good evening all. Anyone else that we've missed? Just a couple shout outs. Zerif HD, Bhuna, Abu Dhabi to the rescue. Ash FPL Juice, big man like Bhuna. Couple more shout outs and then we'll keep going to FPL. Gusiero, ladies, gents, New Zealanders, evening. We've got Kieran with the Bhuna logo. Who the hell is this clown on with Nima? We then have who is this mug on with Nima from FPL Bhuna. There's a lot of different accounts in the chat. Do you remember this? Anyone ever having an argument over cheering for a return against someone's keeper? So if someone's goalkeeper blanked in like a meets and then you started celebrating like crazy, did anyone get upset?
Well, that's normal. That's every week. That's every time we do it.
Yeah, there's always someone's goalkeeper's clean sheet getting wiped. So that's pretty standard stuff. And yeah, as Podner actually rightfully says, the meetups are all over the world now. And it's glad to see people just meeting up and doing their thing with friends they've made online and making lifelong friendships along the way.
Absolutely. Nima, I know you sort of brought me on to talk about my experiences and stuff, and then we're going to talk about FPL as well. But can I just ask you a quick question?
Of course,
What's your fondest memories of Meets and FPL more generally? Just to sort of flip it on its head, I'd love to know your
I
views.
like that. I like that. So my thoughts, my fondest memories is definitely Antonio. I think I always say this with the 4 goals against Norwich when I brought him in and captained him. So like, I always remember that. It's just it was my best season that year as well. So it's kind of like that was close to the final game weeks. It was one of the big pushes at the end that got me to my best finish. So it was very exciting times. But FPL Meets wise, there's a few. But I think what I really like is when before it got as big, because when it was smaller, you could move venues. And I'm someone who loves going to multiple venues. As FPL Discomfort says, Nima loves the park at Meets, so the new park that we have by the riverside.
Previously, he does.
And previously there was the alleyway behind St. Christopher's Inn in London Bridge. So there's always a spot outdoors. And I loved having it where people could come throughout the day. But now when there's a big group, you've got to stay in one location so no one gets lost. And if people come online, it's their first one, you've got to greet them, welcome them, introduce them to people. Before, when it was a handful of people, like we'd be like, okay, 12:30, we're going to go to like the Belushi's sports bar downstairs for that game.
Oh, that was good, man. That was good.
Yeah, and then it's like 3 o'clock.
With,
exactly, right, with the guitars. Yes, with FPL Trophy FPL. So it was like then at the 3 o'clock kickoffs, we'd be like, okay, now we're going to go to play snooker or something. Then it'll be like 5:30 kickoff. Okay, we're now going to go to St. Christopher's Inn. The next one, it's like, oh, now we're going to go karaoke.
What's the cap for St. Christopher's Inn, by the way? Because that was always my favorite venue, like I've told you. Is there any opportunity to make a trip just for old time's sake back to St. Christopher's Inn? Because that's the OG place.
I think if anyone's viewing, we were saying we should try and make some more informal meetups where just now that people have met over the years from the meetups, just start to like drop like dates or times when they're going to go watch certain games.
Because even if it's just 5 or 6 people, it'll still be good jokes.
So much fun, right? So we're saying either the 1st or 2nd weekend of September. I think it's like something like the 7th and 14th, something like that. Those 2 Saturdays, one of them, I think there's going to be a vote and some people will try to go somewhere nice.
Are you looking at next year?
No, I'm talking about this year, December. Yeah, December. Yeah, so I threw you there with the November. But yeah, as Harry said, St. Christopher's Inn was definitely, I think it was the intimacy of it all, whether it was downstairs or upstairs.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that video of Harry going like this that I took?
The Dennis King, yeah.
I think it was the Dennis King week, wasn't it?
It was. There was a few.
All I remember was that. And then I had Praz, FPL, next to me, and we were just dancing up and down because we owned King.
So you had King and we all had Dennis, yeah. So that video, I need to get my hand on that and show it next week to everyone. But another couple of comments real quick. So Ash says, if you haven't been caught out by a Bhuna team leak, do you even FPL, bro? That's why I love that one. And this one from Joseph Robinson, which is related to what we're saying about the meets and bringing everyone together. They say one of the best things about FPL is that there's no skin color and we're all on a level playing field. So yeah, I think this is one more comment. Nahal as well. Why is Charles Watts so beautiful? Getty says the best show back in the day was Llama, Bhuna, Matt on a Sunday morning FPL casuals.
Used to be good times, man. We're thinking to start something back up actually. So keep your eyes peeled on that one.
You're slowly coming back to the FPL world. I see. A lot of people thought getting married made you retired. Tell us about that. I'm gonna give you some pointed non-FPL questions.
I had to come back, man. Like I was like, do you know what? I'd rather channel my attention to something that I enjoy, and FPL I've always enjoyed, even when it's not gone so well. I love Harry's comment there. Harry, you know I got you good 2 weeks ago when you thought. Did you see that video? I screen recorded it. Basically everyone was in his comments saying Saka's out or whatever it was. And Harry went onto Twitter and he was like, why have I got Charles Watts muted? Maybe he put some fake news in once. And then he was like, oh, it looks like it's real. Harry, I got the video, bro. I'm going to have to post it again.
I remember when Andy Let's Talk FPL, he eventually was like, I have to block this guy because every week people send me like, yeah. So I think for all the deadline streamers, like, fair play because you must make their life hell. I'm not surprised. You must know a lot of people who you probably consider friends in real life. They must have.
Even the large content creators, I'm friends with them all. They hate what I do, but they don't hate me because I've met most of them. Like apart from Andy, who doesn't come to these guys. Like I've got good relationships with them. Like Raptor, when it comes to deadline, he's on it. And what got me once, 1 out of 150, but still, bro, I'm counting that one. Yeah, Ross, FPL Raptor though, he's on it. He never gets caught out. I've noticed. But that one 2 weeks ago was one of my favorites in a long time. Mark Southern's got it bad. I don't know if you saw all the videos these content creators done.
Oh, he actually made
Mark got it bad. He put it into the WhatsApp group. Az sent it to about 5 WhatsApp groups, and it just rippled. Even who got the assist, Tom retweeted the tweet, and I know he hated.
He might have been doing it for a troll. Oh no, maybe he didn't want to troll. I don't know. I can't imagine he'd be looking to troll.
Yeah. I'm going to try and keep it minimal, though, because otherwise there's going to be expectation or people will be looking. So sometimes I feel like by not doing anything, I'm getting people better because they're out. Their eyes are peeled, you know?
They're always looking for you.
Friday night, no?
I love this.
Brilliant. Brilliant. But big up to FPL Harry, man. You're smashing it, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, honestly.
Yeah, obviously congrats as well, right?
And remember Harry from when we first doing the St. Christopher meets
3 years
ago. He had his account then to what he is now. He's absolutely killed it.
Back then he was still FPL Tips, right? With the Z.
Yeah. Oh shit, I forgot. Yeah.
Right. It was FPL Tips with the Z before the FPL Harry. And obviously Fair Play's gone on to great stuff. What's some of my favorite content out there. And more importantly, right, he just has incredible finishes. I think we can all say my biggest.
I don't know how he does it, man. Honestly.
That's maybe my biggest fondest memory was that mini league we had, the London Meets one. I think Jack was in there as well, Jack FPL and FPL Jack. And me, him, and Harry were going for it on the last day. So being there together in Game Week 38 with people you're in a mini league with, I kind of advise everyone in this chat, like if you can, if you've got a friends mini league or work mini league, wherever you are in the world, on the last day of the season, try to see those 10 games that kick off at once with people in the mini league, especially if there's still like positions to fight for that game week in the last week. Because there is nothing more entertaining than being together and just seeing 10 games unfold at once and you're competing against each other.
Couldn't agree more, honestly. And literally, it's especially the days where we start at 12 and we finish all the way at the end of the 5:30 kickoff. So it's like a good 8 hours of eating and drinking. It's brilliant. Before we do move on to fantasy then, Nima, when is there a date for the next meets? When can people sort of join along in the future?
So I think let's definitely say 7th or 14th. But I think the problem with the 14th might be there's no lunchtime kickoff. So there's no 12:30, which kind of kills it a bit. The 7th, that could work. But again, I just need to check what the 12:30, 5:30 games are. So anyone, 7th of December, if you're watching this now, and we're thinking, let's just do an unofficial one where we just say, look, we're going to this pub at this time. Let's do that. But in terms of the next big one, I think we'll wait for the January or February TV fixtures because always the one before Christmas, like some people have already gone home. They've got other events, right?
Nima, the 7th has a lunchtime.
Yeah, it does, right? But who are the games? Is it Everton
versus Liverpool?
Merseyside derby, okay.
And then 3 o'clock, Villa, Southampton, Brentford, Newcastle, Palace City, which there's going to be loads of interest. And then Man U versus Forest. Especially if United really pick up things, there's going to be a lot of interest in that game as well, potentially.
We might see some Man United fans come out with their Man United jerseys on.
I'm in juice actually on that date as well. Oh. So I'll probably go there and then straight over to Meets if you do it. So yeah, keep everyone.
Deadline.
Yeah.
I like that. Day. We're gonna make it happen, Bhuna. We're gonna make it happen. All right. Let's let's talk about your team. I'll put it back up on screen. We said shout out to everyone. Quick shout out as well to Claire FPL who got in a little bit late, and Tiggy Taylor. Thanks for tuning in as well. Yeah, let's go to your team. This was a game week 9. You got double City defense for the podcast viewers. You got Gabriel Saka, Havertz. You got Haaland, Watkins, Rogers, Robinson, Dibbling. I was going to say Nico Williams. Bloody hell. Tiggy said Nico Williams in the chat, and I'm like, it reminded me of Spain in the Euros fantasy I played with his red shirt. It really threw me there for a second.
I've got the better version.
Yeah, you got the Welsh wonder. So, what are your thoughts? I've obviously put Darwin on the thumbnail. I think you're in the 6-digit ranks. I'm in the 7-digit ranks, so you're doing better than me. What are your thoughts? What are your transfer moves? How many transfers do you have this week? Are you going to use any?
So I guess we'll start there. We'll talk about maybe a bit about play style and what it's like, and then we'll come in to talk about what my transfer thoughts are. But just to start there, so regarding you asked me how many transfers do I have? I mean, if you know me and you followed me on Twitter, you'll know I never have more than one free transfer in a week.
Even
I am the guy.
So nothing's changed.
I'm the hit taker. Nothing's changed. So this season so far, 9 game weeks in, I'm on 6 hits. Now, don't get me wrong. The vast majority of them haven't paid off. But that's the way I play the game. I like a bit of aggression and I like to play the game my own way. So all things considered, and one of those hits was taking out Palmer for his 25-pointer, might I just add. So that was painful, but all things considered, being 471k at the moment, despite playing the way I like and enjoy the game, I'm quite happy with. So going on to your question there, yeah, just the one free transfer this week. Transfer thoughts for the game week ahead. I am currently thinking about Saka and Havertz out for Salah and Raul Jimenez, but it would be for a -4. However, it is very, very 50-50, only because, and I was in a Spaces chat with Sharik and a few others last night asking this question, and the thinking was, if you bring in Salah for a hit, you can do it, but you've got to really captain him. And if you were to ask me who I'd captain this game week, if I made the transfers, whether it would definitely be Salah, I couldn't say that would be the case. I'm still leaning Haaland. So that's the only thing putting me off those transfers. At the moment, I'm still leaning towards Haaland captain and potentially rolling for only the second time this season. So that's my thoughts at the moment. Jimenez versus Wissa is quite a close question for me, but I can't afford at the moment to go Wissa in the 2 transfers that I'm thinking about. So that's why I'm saying Raul
One
Jimenez.
more hit, man. One more hit. Just sell Watkins. Make it -8.
You don't need to ask me twice, Nima. You know what it's like, bro. Like, I take hits for fun.
You take it seriously, yeah.
I've already done them. The week that I sold Palmer, where he got 25 points, was actually part of a week where this is the fun thing, right? I done a -12, part of which was selling Palmer for his 25-pointer, and I got a green arrow that week.
That is wild. You
that
know,
is wild, isn't it?
I remember you taking -16s, -12s in prior years. You'd be on the timeline and people would be like buying players you're hitting out, and like you just reshuffle your whole team any given game week if you thought the matchups, meant that you'd enjoy that weekend more. So do you like buy players in matches you're gonna watch as well? Like, is that a factor?
Yeah, that's a big thing for me.
It is.
Last weekend, one of the key reasons why I didn't triple captain Haaland was because I was going to be quite busy, and also I had plans in the evening. And now I know if I had done it and Haaland blanked on my triple captain in the afternoon, my mood would have been fucked in that evening, and I didn't want to ruin the rest of my day. So that was a big. And it's interesting, these different sort of dynamics that come into play. Like, that's one of them. Maybe you call them superstitions. Another one for me is I like having players towards the back end of the game week where they can rescue me if my game week's not going so well. And I like, for example, if Salah so let's say I bought Salah in this game week, or I already had Salah, and I had Salah and both Haaland in my team, and one of them played on Sunday and one on Saturday. You know which one I'm captaining? The one that plays on Sunday. Yeah, that's the way I play the game. Don't get me wrong, there are differences. For example, let's say Haaland or Salah were bang on form, and next week one of them's playing Ipswich at home on Saturday at 12:30, and the other one plays on Sunday away to Tottenham or Arsenal. It's a no-brainer. I'll still go for the guy that's playing Ipswich, but most times I prefer going for someone later on in the game week, and it's a very interesting way, I think, of playing the game. Different.
So I have similar concept to you. Like, obviously at the Fest this year, it was Man United versus Fulham. So I felt like I had to have someone in my team. I started with Rodrigo Muniz, Hindu Monkeys Train, another man who supposedly hated you. And then next thing I know, he met you for a drink in London.
We went out for dinner. We went out for dinner in Sheffield as
well.
That
was it, dinner. Yeah. Okay, see, so he doesn't want to admit these things, but I know that he was upset that he hadn't been on as a guest in all these years. So I also brought him on earlier this season. We had a great time with Bobby Love. He's a fellow gooner of mine. But
it's funny, isn't it? Like, when you see on Twitter, you see all these dynamics. You see people that don't get on. You look at the likes of Plonka and Hindu Monkey. They had a lot of animosity years back. But then after North versus South, they're broskies now. Like, they are like this, bro.
My favorite moment is bringing people together in reality. Yeah. I think you can't read tone of voice on instant messages and like on Twitter, on posts. Like, if you know someone, you can kind of maybe try to read things in their tone. So I feel like when I see, like, say you tweet something and you're like saying inject it, or you're taking a big hit in your team, I can picture you in person in front of me watching the game, reacting like that. So I feel like when you know someone in that sense, you're less likely to get offended or misread the tone of what they're saying, whether they're trying to be offensive or not, right? And ultimately, we all just love the game, and
Definitely.
like that's the
It's
thing,
so funny. It's so easy to digress away from talking about FPL because there's so many other things in that. That FPL, I guess, in the ways that FPL brings us all together, which are far more fascinating than the game itself. But I know we're here, and I know the people in the chat are here to talk about
I think
FPL.
they're here for it.
I'll try and bring it back a little bit, and I want to know your thoughts. I've told you my transfer thoughts, Nima. Tell me a little bit about how you, from an Arsenal fan perspective, see Newcastle versus Arsenal going. Now, I told you my transfer thoughts. Havertz and Saka out for a -4 for Salah and Raul Jimenez. Another part of the reason that I don't mind doing that transfer is because of the news last week. A lot of people have sold Saka and Havertz, so I know if I sell them in the rank tierings that I'm in, if they were to bang, it wouldn't be as damaging to me as if they were 50 and 60% owned. But the question is, how do you see Newcastle versus Arsenal going? And do you think Gabriel will be back?
Yeah, great questions. So I think firstly, I agree on that mentality, right, of getting rid of players who won't hurt you as much. So my version of that debate this week is DCL has Southampton, and like I know that I could just sell him. If he hauls, like it will be more a case of what could have been. Like I missed that low EO haul to help me after holding the prick for so long. But the reality is, it's not really going to hurt me. So similar for you with 2 away fixtures sandwiched in between a European away fixture against Inter, another away fixture against Preston tonight, Preston North End. So 4 away games in a row before an international break for Arsenal. Multiple different injuries culminating across the team. We sort of last game ended with a makeshift back 4. I would see nothing wrong with moving them on. For me to keep them, it might be more of a bias that like I'm just going to keep mine potentially. And the ones I would keep for me is Gabriel and Saka. I'm actually considering selling Havertz like you to a cheaper forward and using that money to try get to Mo Salah, which we'll talk about him and the Haaland debate. I'm sure maybe we can give that a whole section actually. But before we do that, just in terms of your question, so I think Gabriel's going to be there. I think he's fine. He had like a leg device on that's like a compression machine that you would only really wear for super minor stuff to help with recovery. And I think like they had the initial scans and the news that was coming out from those ITKs, the Charles Wattses of the world, like yourself, esteemed professionals in the space. They all seem to think it's really minor. Now, that could still mean that he's out for a couple of games, but it sounds like the scan was better than that. Like my initial thinking was good news would mean he's coming back after the international break. But now I think actually he might even just play Newcastle and definitely Chelsea if not. So if you've got players who can cover for him, like I would start him. And he either plays or he doesn't, in my opinion. So then you get your first sub if you have a decent enough sub. I have like a Mikalenko on the bench. I can live with him subbing on if Gabriel doesn't play. Arsenal do still have like the second highest clean sheet odds. So I think it's like City have one of the highest, then it's Arsenal and then Liverpool in the rankings I saw. Obviously, those will update when we get closer to the game week. Saka, I want to keep, but that's because I have another way to get to Salah. So in your situation, with his lower ownership, and if you really want Salah for these next 3 game weeks, and you might even captain him in one of them, I think it's fine to do that move. For me, I've got Foden, who I bought not last week, the week before. So when the cartel bought Son back then for Saka, I went Foden for Diaz.
I think it's a good hold this week.
He could be, because it sounds like both him and Haaland will be rested in the cup as well. So this is the thinking. I think realistically, Saka, Havertz will be rested. Foden, Haaland will be rested. Like these are moves I don't need to make, but it feels like that's what this season's about. It's kind of like I'm going to constantly move away from players that I think could get points the week I'm selling them. But like I've got, multiple free transfers. I've got 3 free transfers, Bhuna. So I can do a triple move like Trent, Foden, Havertz and just completely restructure my team. I can get a Salah straight in without selling Haaland. And that's one of the debates we're going to talk about. A lot of people are selling Haaland to get to Salah this week, right? Whereas you're not.
I don't selling Haaland to get Salah, you mean?
Yeah. A lot of people are doing it that way around.
Yeah, I don't get that. I'll be honest. I understand why they're doing it. But I don't think it's. You've heard of something called Sod's Law. Yeah. You just know the moment you sell Haaland, who by the way had 2 highest XGI he's had all season, probably ever since he's played for City. 2.38, right? Something silly like that. He was unlucky. The player doesn't all of a sudden turn shit. And don't get me wrong, the 3 game weeks before that, I think his XGI was like under 0.5. I think in one of the games it was like 0. But like to register an XGI of 2.38, for me, that's showing all the right signs. Now, I think the people that are most burnt by him are those that triple captained him.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the ones that are most. They're the ones that are most frustrated and probably either getting rid of him or have already got rid of him. But I think there's a lot of value in holding him personally. But it's an interesting one. And it's something that I think everyone in the chat is probably also dwelling on and thinking over. Where do you stand on it? So, and can I just take it a step back just to get a direct answer for you on my team? So you said you like my transfers. You think there's merit in them.
Yeah.
But I did mention to you that I potentially still wouldn't captain Salah and it would be for a -4. Would you still do that?
That's the difference. So for a -4 and not captaining, I wouldn't. I would just basically say to myself, you know what? Saka might match Salah this week and fuck it, I'm not taking the hit. That's the way I would do it. But even Havertz, I would expect both of them to maybe combine. Like I think Arsenal will be well rested. Let's see the lineup shortly. It will come out probably while we're live on stream at some point. And I think it's going to be a lot of players rested for Arsenal. And realistically, like I expect things to get much better very soon. So if not this week specifically, Odegaard has been back training on the grass for weeks. I expect
I thought he had a setback. Didn't he have a setback or something?
No, that was also another leak.
Oh, that was me.
December.
That was me. My bad.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was you. There's a lot of leaks out there.
What about Salah versus Brighton? Dunk out for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah,
that's a worry for non-Salah owners, though.
So for me, I'm going to try and get there. Like, I'm pretty happy. I want him, I think. I'm pretty sure. I missed the price rise for him earlier in the week. Same with Ait Nouri. But the same question goes, though. If your only way to Salah for this Brighton game, as you say, without Dunk, is through Haaland out. Haaland himself has that same Brighton team with no Dunk the week after. So it's kind of...
Exactly.
For me, it's like you almost need both of them, right? Like
you want both, surely.
Surely for the next few. But I think some people maybe don't have a wild card or do have a wild card. So many might wild card in game week 12 after the international break. There's so many different routes now. I think that's one thing I wanted to say to you. It's been more exciting this year. I don't know if you feel that, where there's a genuine
feel
spread.
that. It's not the same like FPL Wire. They were having this conversation yesterday or the day before. I was listening and it was really fascinating. And they were talking about how the season before, last season, the conversation was about which 4.5 defenders should we all get, not about the premiums. But this season, you can't get all the premiums. So it's far more interesting because in any given week, you could have 2 premiums and the other 2 bang.
And you keep moving between them at the wrong time. Or so it was like timing that correctly could be who ends up being the victor.
Timing is the biggest thing this season. I feel like it's about knowing the right time to jump on and jump off. I've seen certain teams, they've got all the premiums, but the rest of the team is whack. And I don't think
I've seen one with 4 or 5. So I think I've seen one with Saka, Salah, Palmer and Haaland. And I didn't know in my life how they got to this team. I just can't comprehend it.
There we go. Someone in the chat saying I sold the robot today.
The troll. I love. We're always so concerned about trolls on this show, but yeah, I think overall.
Hey Natasha, how you doing?
Oh yeah, shout out to Natasha as well. Good to see Bhuna. Been missing since his wedding, which is a good thing, I suppose. So yeah, so you're back. Talking about your team now, I think those moves have merit for your playstyle. I wouldn't be like in my situation. If I took that hit, I would captain Salah. That's what I'm gonna. That's like my view.
Do you know how I see it? The only reason why I would do it is I'm taking away 2 assets that play in the first game of the game week.
Oh, 30, yeah.
And then I bring in Salah, who we know is against a Brighton potentially depleted defense. Okay, it's only Dunk. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but we know what Salah can do. And Brighton defense are already poor. Without Dunk, surely isn't going to be good news. And I'm bringing in Raul Jimenez, who plays on the last game of the game week, which I like as well, against a Brentford defense, which cannot defend.
Mark Flecken's the only goalkeeper without a clean sheet.
The more I want to do these transfers.
Yeah, I think a late riser, speaking of him earlier, I think he has gone early on the Jimenez move for Havertz, and he's funded an upgrade.
He bought in Salah and Jimenez.
Yeah.
He sold Foden and Havertz.
See, I don't know what cheap forward to get, which is what made me miss the price rise earlier.
Let's talk about the cheap forward after we've finished this.
Oh yeah, let's talk more about Salah, Haaland.
That's a whole topic in its own self.
True. Before we do that, then let me actually do this. Let's quickly. I'll timestamp this. Let's put this up on screen. Some Darwin Nunez makes it on every photo. This is just for the podcast viewers. 45 minutes in. I'm just going to have this here while we talk about these debates, just to compare this week's matchups on the spread betting markets from RobTFPL on X. So this graphic, right, it has the top scorers for the week predicted at Liverpool 2.55 goals. It actually has a Man City 2.15 goals, Tottenham 2.05. Then we have 1.8 for Fulham at home. So your beloved Jimenez is up there against the Brentford team. We have Arsenal 1.7, Man United and Chelsea both 1.75.
Oh, wow. That's a big difference, 2.55 to 2.15.
Yeah. So the Liverpool at home is projected a lot more. Clean sheet wise as well, just quickly on that, there isn't really good clean sheet odds for anyone. Like the top three of what I mentioned is kind of got Man City and Liverpool in this model tied on 34% clean sheet odds, which is low in any week. Arsenal on 31%, and then Forest on 29%. And then it's kind of just,
and
I don't know.
Fulham. To be honest, I've got 2 City who are the joint highest. Then I've got 1 Arsenal who's next, and I've got 1 Fulham who's like 4th or 5th. So it's not too bad. Albeit, how do you? I know. Sorry, I keep changing from topic to topic, but Fulham Brentford's going to be a fascinating watch.
Yeah. So they predict a 2-1 here with victory for Fulham, but I didn't realize it was a Monday night game. And now that you've told me this, I need to seriously consider the forward a bit more. I have Mark Flecken in goal. So at the moment, as it stands, I'll be waiting to send you a video at full time if I don't buy Jimenez. And hopefully Flecken will get first.
Well, you think he's going to get a clean sheet? Yeah, give it a rest, bro.
I will send you an injection video live and direct if it happens. But Raul might make it into my team. I'm going to flip one on you. What are your thoughts about Tottenham here? Like, Son is obviously potentially not going to make the cup game again. It sounded like it was just a late test over the weekend. Do you have any other...
Really wish you didn't bring up... Why you got to talk about Tottenham, bro? If you told me that before, I wouldn't have come to this stream.
They projected the third highest goal scorer.
You know how much of a biased Tottenham fan from an FPL perspective I've been in years gone by, right? You remember?
Yeah.
I haven't touched Tottenham with a barge pole this season, and for good reason. And I'm seeing these FPL managers do not touch Tottenham. I'm seeing all these FPL managers with doubles and triples in my head, and I'm thinking, what have you been smoking? Like either you don't watch football or you're just thick as shit. Like seriously.
The defenders, I understand because genuinely,
I don't, man. Do you watch?
No, I mean I understand not buying them. Bro. I mean I understand not owning them.
No, I think the same for all of it, man. Literally, they're shit.
Even
they are so shit. Yeah.
They've been getting a lot of shots or underlying attack creation.
The only person I would consider, and if Son is back in the reckoning against Villa and he looks remotely okay and goes off not injured, then Ipswich at home is a great fixture. Okay, and there'll be a lot of players going towards him for next game week 11. I think it's Ipswich at home, isn't it?
Yeah. So maybe
I think he's a potentially good captaincy option, but I wouldn't. If you haven't got any, I wouldn't be buying any this week. They've shown nothing to make you buy anyone, and if you've got no further fires in your team, I wouldn't be opposed to selling them this week either. But it's up to you. It depends. It depends on your management style as well. A lot of people now with five free transfers are trying to hold transfers for as long as possible. I envy them because I just can't do it.
I love that because I'm on a 3, which is the most I've got to so far this season. But even that's been quite a novel thing because we could never do it in seasons of the past. You've obviously still maintained your style of play with the 1 free transfer and hits. I do think that this new rule, it makes people more likely to save because they think they'll have a higher upside, like triple move or quadruple.
But they're missing out on points along the way, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you would think because that's the way so that's why I'm thinking should I just use my free moves because in my mind I'm like I could always keep finding a reason to be patient, but why? Yes, the rules have changed, but that doesn't mean that I should miss the opportunity for points now. Maybe.
Bro, I'll give you a really random example, but look at the amount of people that put money towards their pensions and they're like, oh, when I get to 65, you have all that money. You don't know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. What are you saving for? I know it's really far-fetched example, right? But
I love how that's related to
my
FPL.
philosophy to transfers, man. That's my philosophy to transfers. I enjoy every transfer like it was your last.
So British 87, so Blanky is useless.
Blanky is useless.
Claire FPL, not so Hotspurs. So Animations, Sun Owner, and Gary Swan. I'm glad I'm not my own. With
Animations in the chat. Animations sold Haaland already.
Already? Okay, nice. So maybe Sun captaincy in Gameweek 12 for Animations.
11. Yeah.
11 even, sorry, 11. So yeah, so just any other, so Buffy as well says rolling 5 hurts team value. Yeah, I think it significantly does. I said at the start of the season, Bhuna, that I thought we would be more likely to roll to 5 free transfers is actually later in the season. So like where you might actually do it towards the tail end of the season when there is less volatile price changes because there's more like dead teams and less engaged managers. I think in the first few weeks, I tried to be more price conscious and have a better team value this year and move fast. And I thought I was doing an okay job. Then I spoke to the guy who inspired me with that, Andy Mack, because he had 5 million more team value than me at the end of last season. He had 109 mil for my 104. His 10 mil mid was my 5 mil mid. Like that's how wild it was. And I was like, okay, I need to try and like not.
But there's teams already out. There's teams already out there with 103.
But it's what means that he's on that kind of number, yeah. So he's
I'm on
101.
I'm on 101.1. Like
yeah, but I thought that was good. I thought that was good.
Like, I see it as more of a challenge when it comes to a wild card, and I've got less money. I'll be like, do you know what? Watch me outsmart you still. Like it's crazy though. I wish I could have higher team value, but the way I play and the transfers I make, it don't work.
Yeah, but I guess you're taking so many overall transfers, including the hits, right? That sometimes you will lose the chance to sell someone for a 0.1 profit because they might have gone up only by 0.1 and you're looking to move on before they go up by 0.2. So I imagine a lot of your transfers actually could cost you team value, but you're going for the points right now. I'll say this message from Capital FPL and then let's talk a little bit more about this week's dilemmas. They say free transfers is the sweet spot. So I think that's exactly it. I think for me, the difference in upside between 2 and 3 free transfers, it's not going to keep exponentially improving. Like from 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, I think the overall benefit of waiting to get the 4th or the 5th transfer is far smaller than the overall benefit of like 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. Those jumps have exponentially more upside for you. But once you're making 2 moves or 3 moves or 4 moves at once, it just gets less and less valuable, I think, saving. So I don't think it's that great an idea at the beginning, especially now, these first few months, to be getting to 4 or 5 transfers. Some people have already done it. Maybe they wanted to be the first person in the world to hit 5 free transfers, so they didn't do any moves. But it's not the way I play either. It's a bit boring, right? Like you kind of just leave your team and it's almost like a zombie team.
Yeah, literally. Like, what's the point, man? Cool. Can we just maybe let's take a minute silence for all the Haaland triple captainers. I think that's due, right? You know, RIP to your triple captainships. I woke up the morning after and I looked at my team and I was like, God is great, man. I still got my triple captainship. Do you know what? I even have one person in the elite FPL community. His name's One Life Soccer TV. He played his free hit chip.
Oh, so Simon as well, Analytic FPL. He played his free hit chip too.
Yeah, and he outscored his team by 5 points.
Yeah,
brilliant free hit chip.
I think. Yeah, I hope he likes you well enough to take the joke. But yeah, overall, I did use triple captain. I will confess to that. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. You didn't even know. That's the funniest part.
Oh, brilliant! 1 second. Go on, do carry on. Let me find something.
I will. I'm gonna just do a couple of thank yous actually to our members while you do that, and then we'll talk more about FPL. But I'll try and get this shout out into the viewers now, just real quick. I've actually timestamped the part.
Can I just play something? Can I just play something?
Yeah, play.
You played your triple captainship.
Yeah, let's hear what you've got. Oh, it's not coming through the mic. It's not coming through, man.
Oh, boo! That flopped. Well, it's a dog laughing anyway.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to see that afterwards. But yeah, it was definitely when it was 5 minutes in and the first goal went in, it was kind of like, okay, like, you know, at the time I was like, okay, so at least it's not a blank because I've had blank triple captain in double game week even. So I was like, okay, fuck it. And then this one, I was like, okay, this is maybe a good one. And I would have taken a brace minimum. I think a lot of people were like, why would you not just wait for a double? And again, like not knowing what the mystery chip was bugging me because I was like, what if I want to use that in a double? And then we're saying there's only 2 big doubles, 1 maybe.
Yeah, but you could have still used your triple captain in a. There's still so many other
There's other
favourable
single game weeks.
weeks.
There will be other single game weeks. You're right. I think I got too carried away. I think part of it was a bad game week prior.
For me, the biggest thing was Haaland not be De Bruyne not being there, bro.
Yeah, but he wasn't there against Ipswich, right?
He only assisted Haaland once in the time he was there. But in the 4 games De Bruyne was there was the period where Haaland scored 17, 17, 13. And even if he's not directly assisting him, he's putting balls through the channels to players who are assisting him.
The team.
And that was a big thing for me. Having said that, 2.38 XG without De Bruyne there, it's just bad luck if you triple captained him. And
I think, but I think it's bad luck. But I don't see it so badly. I guess what I'm saying, because for me at least, it wasn't a blank. Like there was an even worse outcome than the one that happened. Because I've had blanks, like people have triple captain Mane,
Leroy Sané, Sadio Mane. You remember them
like,
ones?
There's been some bad ones, so it's like things can always go wrong. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, look, like that's done. The disappointment's out the way, as you say. Now I can just really focus on the second half of the season chip strategy. Because for me,
I just want to give it another like a big shout out to a guy in Elite FPL Discord. His name's Season Over. He goes by the name of Shaq. He's like 20k or 30k he was anywhere in the world, and he said Haaland was going to score 5 goals. He's Australian, so you can imagine the bravado that comes with it. He put a comment in Hangout text at 4 minutes 57 saying only took 4 minutes 57. Lol. That is now my picture on Elite FPL's Discord, because 4 minutes 57 is when his season fucking finished. Have some of that, you prick.
Oh man, I've missed these injections, like live ones as well. They're so much better than the tweet version.
100%.
You've also been a social justice warrior. I remember every time someone was a bit of a prick online, you just like kind of have no two qualms about it. You just quote retweet them and tell them to fuck off.
Oh yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I used to love doing that. Yeah.
Like whenever there was like abusive people or trolls or the people who were making hate comments, as we said on certain posts, you would just go for them. Like most people block them or mute them. Like, I don't want to deal with this person. And it's like I just don't want to get stressed over them. I think you don't get stressed. You just like view them as literally subhuman pieces of shit for what they are, for being abusive like that and being a cyberbully. And you're there cleaning up the streets of Gotham at night.
Yeah, less often these days. But yeah, I used to do that a little bit. Did you see really random? Did you see Yelena in your outfit yesterday?
I know. I just saw the Ali G outfit. I know Ali G in the House is one of Az's favorite movies, top 5 or even top 3. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm inspiring even more FPL managers to wear Ali G out.
I've got a picture of me in it as well. I wore it for my stag do.
Yes, you did. I remember when you talked. Yeah. So I think that full yellow tracksuit with the sunglasses and the beard, I love that, man. It's the one.
Thank you, Tiggy. Yeah, man. Cool. So sorry, we were talking about Darwin, and I don't think we ever finished on Darwin.
No. Let's do a couple of quick shout outs, and then we'll do we'll talk about Darwin and the strikers option. So if you are selling Haaland, or if like maybe you're done with Calvert-Lewin, you want to move on.
I think Darwin and Jackson, price-wise, are in a similar category. And then I think you've got Wissa, Raul Jimenez, and Cunha to an extent sits between the two categories. So
I think he's like one above. Him and Wood are like together.
Yeah, so there's sort of 3 tiers there, and it depends on team value and how much money you've got. But you're high on Darwin, are you?
Not really, but the only reason he sneaks in is with the news that Jota's injured till at least the international break now. He's someone who he made that pass to Salah against Arsenal. I was quite surprised he passed in that situation, so that was growth from him. And I just kind of feel like I don't see Gakpo playing as the striker. I think Darwin's gonna get his run. He's gonna get these games, and I think there's worse places to go if it's just for a 2-week punt. Now, year on year, he's let everyone down. He's underperformed. And yet he comes out with like 20 or 30 goal assists every season. So like his bad years are still, he actually does get returns. It's just he's quite a frustrating player to watch when you own him through the sheer number of chances he gets. Now, start of the season, he obviously wasn't playing at all. He didn't really get on the pitch. And when he was getting on the pitch, the play style on the slot seemed to be different. And it didn't suit him anymore. There wasn't the chaos of, Nunez just running in behind the box constantly and people trying to get him the ball. It felt far more controlled from Liverpool than we're used to under Klopp. So I just thought like maybe the playstyle doesn't suit him. That's it. He's done. He's a goner. But now I feel like he has his chance to stake his claim. And, he's a little bit older. Maybe he's matured more. Maybe the time on the sidelines has done him good. Or is that all just my narrative to try and con people into buying Darwin so I can get ahead of them in FPL? What are your thoughts on that?
I think Darwin, I understand your thinking, but for me, albeit I think of myself as someone that plays his own game, I do look at stats quite a lot for someone that, in the grand scheme of things, is a bit more of a casual player. And looking at his stats, they're awful. I know he's not played a lot. I know he's not played a lot.
But they're awful.
Off the time he's played this season, he's got an XGI of 0.19 per 90.
Yeah.
For context, let me get my book. Let's get my book out. This is the most intellectual you'll see Bhuna ever be, guys. So just embrace it. But for context, Wissa this season's 0.93 XGI per 90. Raul Jimenez 0.78 XGI per 90. And Cunha is 0.48 XGI per 90. So for me, Darwin is bottom of the pile. I think even Jackson's above him. And I don't think the fixtures are fantastic for Liverpool either. I like the Southampton fixture, and I think Brighton, they could do okay. But other than that, I'm not too high on them.
I think it's the next two only. So the way I would look at it is that there's some people, I think Dave, who watches the channel, he put out a harmless tweet saying, if I get 100 likes, I'll buy Darwin and captain him. And he actually wanted to buy Raul like you. He's now got the 100 likes, as you can imagine. So he's now bottling it, I think. But so yeah, he feels like someone you'd bring in as a dare. But that's what got me thinking, seeing that earlier on the timeline, knowing he's going to start the next two. And I just thought, wow, like this is a funny one. But you know what? While Chris is here, so FPL Mariners here, I just want to get that photo back up as well, because it was from the meetups, right? We had this, Chris, sending you our love, mate. We actually showed the video.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, man. Good to see you in the chat, Chris. Sorry for everything that's been going on as well. We send you our love, as I mentioned. It's a very tough time for the Mariners and the whole family. So, yeah, man, just really sad times all around. But I think you're back in Dubai now from the UK. So send my love to Gail, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon. But yeah, really, I'm so shocked. That was the most intellectual we've ever seen Bhuna, as you say. You literally had the stats to hand. I don't know.
Take the piss. I'm allowed to say it. Why are you saying it? I said it to myself. You're mocking me.
Yeah,
hey guys, I'm done. Take care. I'm out.
Charles Watts is pissed. He's not got his full rider contract worth of freebies to come on. Oh man, but yeah, honestly, so I think Darwin is a complete troll. Yeah, I think I wouldn't go there. Maybe I'm just being hopeful because I have him in a draft league. I was expecting a lot more from him this season, and he's just not been playing. I would not be shocked if he does well, but you're right. Why take that risk? Why go for someone who's more expensive and has worse numbers than every other striker option? So if we discard him now, and it's also the Liverpool fixture, right? The 2.55 expected goals. I mean, that's part of where the narrative comes from. Throwing all that out the door, going straight back to the forwards then. You liked Raul the most. What are your thoughts on, like, say, Strand Larsen to save 1 million on someone like Mateus Cunha?
I don't like it, man. I like talismanic figures, and I just feel like Cunha is the talismanic figure. You look at his BPS, non-penalty BPS, or some baseline bonus. Sorry, his baseline bonus is like the highest of all of the forwards. Like, even if he doesn't do anything, and if he scores, he's almost guaranteed to get that full max bonus. So I like him from that perspective. It's I like buying players from teams in pairs of 2. And I really don't like the fact that 8 Nuri's on 4 yellows.
I was going to buy Cunha and 8 Nuri as 2 of my transfer.
Yeah, and FPL, Andy Martin did that last week. Fair play to him. What a guy FPL tactician Andy Martin is, by the way. Fucking hell. He's iconic, isn't he? Absolutely
iconic. I think he really reached peak Twitter when he took the photo next to the sign by the team hotel for Arsenal Bournemouth. That photo, after going around the little kind of sign, which wasn't, for the public to walk past, he kind of snuck in. It was just, honestly, that was peak banter in the FPL community. I love that. So shout out to Andy as well. Okay, let's get some of the questions from the chat, because there's also questions. And I think as we continue just generally talking about FPL, we can maybe answer some of these questions as we go. Let me just check if there's any on the Discord. So nothing there. We go to live chat from today. Yeah, guys, do start getting your questions in because we said we'd do about an hour. We'll probably could go another 10 minutes or so just answering questions. And I love this. Podner spreadsheet versus Bhuna book. Get the fuck out.
What's your whilst the questions start to come in, what are you doing with your team this week?
Yeah, so my team, I'll show you my team.
If you tell me you're rolling, I'm going to lose my shit.
No. So I've got the free transfers. You know what? I'll share my screen real quick, and I will just show you my team. Maybe I'd love to know what you would do compared to what I would do, but I have a feeling we'd do something similar based on what you've said. So this is my FPL team right now as it stands. It's not even on the screen. I've still got it on this screen. Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. Maybe let's try and zoom in even more. Okay, so I am most likely going to sell Havertz for Mateus Cunha, I think, to sell Foden for Mohamed Salah, and to sell Trent for 8 Nouri.
You can't sell Trent, man. What the hell?
So I'm viewing it as I'd rather have Salah than Trent. And
you have to sell Trent to fund this move.
Yeah. And I don't really want to sell Haaland, and I'm not willing to sell Saka either. So it's kind of like,
why?
So I think that he is going to get top 3 points throughout the season, and he's someone who I would rather hold for most of the season unless injured. So I'm very
no bias, Nima.
No. I think it's more to do with like trying to get an edge, right? So I think these days in FPL, there's so much information out there. I've this season been renting the season ticket. I go to all the home games. I've watched him since he was 17, right? So I can see what I'm seeing with my eyes, and I'm trying to use that as an edge. And I'm hoping that what I'm seeing in him and my expectations of him as being, I would say right now, one of the top playmakers in the world, if not at least definitely the Premier League. As you know, he is really taking that mantle on, especially with Odegaard out. I think the team's going to get better and stronger as injuries come back soon. And after the next international break, I'm expecting Arsenal to go on a big run. So overall, I'm not worried about any of these fixtures. Like, I think that if Arsenal do anything in any of these games, which I expect them to, he will be the one to get most of the points. So who would
Trent get downgraded to?
To 8 Nouri. So I would just play him every week for now, and then I've got Mikalenko, and I'll have some extra money to fix Greaves if I need a 5th defender. So I kind of.
What about when 8 Nouri gets his yellow this week?
So if he gets suspended, I'll just play Mikalenko against West Ham the following week. So like for me, I'll play Gabriel every week. I'll play Lewis for now. By game week 12 and 13, when City play Tottenham and Liverpool, maybe I'll want to be benching Lewis then. So I could play Mikalenko and hope 8 Nouri's already served his ban. So I just got to, figure out, can I go through with Gabriel as my kind of premium defender? The alternatives are just to get rid of Calvert-Lewin now. Like, I could just move to the striker I want, forget Salah altogether.
I would. That's what I would do.
So you would go for Raul, I suppose. It's a silly question to ask, right? Because you would.
I think Raul and Wissa is very close. This week, Raul, but from next week, Wissa is my thinking. If you look at their next 4 fixtures, and I'll refer back to my book, because this is one of the only other things that I put down here. If you look at their fixtures for these 2 players, Wissa's next 4 are Fulham at home, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, and Leicester at home. Sorry, Fulham's away. Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, Leicester at home. So they're 4 good fixtures. And then Raul Jimenez has got Brentford, Palace, Wolves, and then Tottenham. I like Wissa's fixtures more. And
I'm blocked for him, by the way. Look at this.
Huh?
I'm blocked from getting him. Look at that. Oh, that is incredible because I've got the double defense, the double goalkeepers.
You're not the only one, I've got I know a few people that are in that position.
Shit. Okay, so that rules out Wissa, which I really like, but I can see what you mean. So let's say Raul then. Let's say I went for Raul. He's a similar price, right? Even cheaper. So what we're saying in the chat, they were saying, what could you do if you did like Calvert-Lewin to Raul, and if you kind of tried to do Foden to Palmer? So I can't do Foden to Palmer there.
How much is Calvert-Lewin, by the way?
He's like 5.9 as well.
So you could do Calvert-Lewin to Cunha and Havertz to Raul.
Yeah, I could get both. That's one option. And then I keep Foden. I just pray that Foden doesn't
roll
miss
that
it.
extra transfer so you've got 2 for next week.
Yeah. So I'd like to go out of game week 12 after international break with like 2 transfers if possible. But
If
see,
you had a gun to your head right now, Nima, and you're forced to make your transfers, you bringing Salah in?
Yeah, I'd bring him in instead of Foden. I feel like I would bring him in. I'd definitely captain him against Southampton. I'd potentially captain him this week. And I just think like we're talking about trying to save Trent and keep him in my team. I'd rather have Salah than Trent personally. So like I don't really want to invest money in the defenders. So I can't actually afford this move, the ECL to Raul. So that's why I'm kind of selling Havertz and keeping. So Calvert-Lewin is someone who I will sell for sure. I will tell you that. I will sell him the following week. But my issue, right, and I missed the double rise on these guys. I was 0.2 short Bhuna of just Trent and Foden to Salah and 8 Nori and keep Havertz, which is what I ideally want. But I'm now 0.4 short because I missed both price rises by being indecisive and not knowing who I wanted to replace Havertz with. So now I've got to make that choice for my triple move. I'm very likely to go for one of Raul or Cunha. I think that's where I've landed. That's probably a gun to head right now. If it was deadline and I was locked in, I would, let's say, do this. I would get Cunha. And then the following week, Bhuna, I would do Calvert-Lewin to Raul. So that's the way I would play it, I reckon. Or Chris Wood. So it's kind of like get 8 Nuri Salah Cunha now, no hits. Following week, goodbye Calvert-Lewin, regardless of what happens versus Southampton. But I always told myself that I didn't sell this prick Calvert-Lewin 2 games ago because he was playing 2 promoted teams in the next 3. So I can't personally sell him before the 3rd promoted team in that in the freeway match, right? So I get the reason of selling him. He wouldn't hurt me if he hauled anyway because he's so low owned. But I kind of feel like I'm willing to get rid of Havertz. I'm willing to get rid of Trent. And I don't want Foden long term. Every time I've gone for him, it's been a disaster for me throughout the season.
Do you know what? It's a 50-50 gamble on this one, I'll be honest.
It is. And because it's not for a hit, I'm pretty comfortable taking that chance. But my difficulty is like, do I go for Cunha this week or next week? Or do I go for Raul this week or next week? Because ultimately, Calvert-Lewin will leave. So if you're in the chat and you're saying get rid of Calvert-Lewin, I'll be getting rid of him. Like he's 100% leaving. But he's not going to help me make a move this week. Like, if I want to keep Havertz and sell Calvert-Lewin instead, that's not going to make it easy for me to free up money for Salah and keep Haaland. So Havertz and Trent, they're cash cows, right? They're players that are almost luxury to me. Like, again, they're both quite low owned. So people are talking about, like, how could you sell Trent? How could you do this? If I go to
you say that he's 29% owned and he's the highest owned defender at 29%.
Yeah, but
I know in the grand scheme, it's not that bad.
Bro, like if he gets 10 points, I lose 3 points with that ownership. If he gets 20 points, I lose 6 points. If Salah gets 10 points, it costs me 5.5 points. So similar to what you were saying about the threats, like for me, it seems like a no-brainer because he's 31% of my rank bracket. Havertz is 14%. Foden is 7%. The most I'm going to get hurt is by Trent, sure, but I'm making up the 55% that Salah was, plus all his new buyers, plus all his captainers, right? So it's like, do I want to go against a 100% Salah for those 3 fixtures that are coming up for Liverpool and have Trent, or do I want to have Salah instead? So I'm willing to duck Trent and take that hit if he hauls.
Around my rank, Salah is 65%.
And that's before the transfers in. That's before transfers in.
65%. His EO was 65%, and I imagine there'll be more. Yeah, he's going to be close to 100 EO, isn't he? I have to bring him in.
This is what I mean. So for me, it's about that. Now, I guess then the question is, what do you do with...
I'm just going to have to get rid of Saka and Havertz. That's what I'm going to have to do.
But I think that's fair to do. That's what I mean. So I'm keeping Saka, but I think for a lot of people, he's the best.
But I'm still not necessarily captaining him, and I don't really. I'm not that guy where I'll be like, oh, if I brought him in for a -4 and I'm not captained him, like if he scores 15 points and Haaland scores 15 points, am I going to be regretting it that I brought him in and not captained him? Of course not.
No, I'll still be happy. There's every chance I just keep the captain on Haaland anyway, even if I bought Salah. So I will say that. Palmer, if I was going to bring him in, it would have been last week. But it was like, if I didn't think Saka was going to start against Liverpool, I might have done Saka to like Son or Saka to Palmer. But I saved so I could have free transfers for this exact situation, Bhuna. Like, my whole thing was, I want to play Saka versus Liverpool. I wanted to play Havertz. And I just thought, let me see what I go on with this Foden situation. Because after I bought him, he didn't even start. And then I got lucky with the assist off the bench in the first game and didn't really do much in the second game. I just kind of, I'd rather have Haaland than Foden, and I'd rather have Salah than Trent. So that's the way my brain's kind of doing my decision making, I guess.
You know what? Because it's not for a hit, there's not too, you're mitigating the risk a little bit. Whereas with me, my transfer would be for a hit, so there's a bit more risk. But either way, just go with your gut. That's a big thing. You know, when it comes to, I know it's maybe a bit of a cop-out answer, but when you're unsure if you're in too much or if you're sort of split between two, just go with your gut feeling, is what I say. But
I think I'm just done with Trent. Now, part of me thinks, oh, I managed to sit through the tough fixture against Arsenal. Now I should keep him for these next three. He's going to haul. But he's been playing less inverted, more as a traditional defender. He's getting shots from outside the box centrally, but he's not supposedly looking like he's going to get that attacking return. Like the underlying numbers look great. He's on some set pieces, I suppose. But I'm just like, do I really want him over Salah for the next three? Because I'd have to sell Haaland if I'm looking to keep Trent, right? And for the reasons we said, I'm personally not selling Haaland for the next two. Now, maybe I will sell Haaland for Tottenham, Liverpool, Forest, that run. Every likelihood that I would have to do that to get Palmer. Because if you think about it, I'm going to have Saka, I'm going to have Salah, and I'm going to have Havertz, right? So when we get to game week 12, 13, either Saka, Salah, or Haaland will need to go to get Palmer.
I'm selling Haaland in 12 to get Palmer in.
Yeah, so that's one option. I might do Haaland downgrade, get Palmer in. Or I might just sell Salah after the next three games to Palmer, or Saka to Palmer. So again, like, I'm more open to the idea that I want to use most of my transfers to move between these expensive
But
premiums.
when you want to bring Palmer in, Salah has Southampton away. You can't do it then.
True. So then I'd be waiting. That's what I mean. So that's why I say game week 12 or 13. So I'd rather like wait.
But 13, he's got Villa at home, which isn't as favourable.
I know, but it's just the fact that like Palmer, I think long term for the season, he will be the right guy. But I was just trying to kind of like hedge against him after the 25 pointer for this run of 3 or 4 games. And he still keeps returning. Ultimately, yeah, I can't sell Salah before Southampton, but I could sell Salah before Man City in 4 games' time and then go straight to Palmer and keep Haaland.
Salah's at home against City.
Yeah, but again, I'd back Palmer long term there. So it's just all
No,
about.
but I'm saying if you were to sell one in game week 13 to bring Palmer, I'd still be more inclined, depending on fixtures that follow that fixture, to sell Haaland. Haaland's then got Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Salah's got Newcastle. Haaland's then got Palace. Salah's got Everton, which is challenging. Okay, there's an argument for maybe it being Salah actually.
So it could.
It
could be Salah. The alternative is that it could just be. It could be Saka. It could be anyone, right? So, but I want to buy myself time. Like I want to give Salah 3 games, give Calvert-Lewin 1 game, and then after the international break, football's going to get exciting again. Bhuna. There's going to be games.
And December's going to be crazy. But look, just in the interest of time, I know we said to the chat to post their questions in, so let's do some rapid fire from the chat.
Yeah, let's do quick fire.
Maybe finish there over the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's do. I think maybe even 5 minutes or less. There's only a
that's cool.
Questions. Okay, so we have 1 or 2 here. So first one is Tiggy says Foden to Saka. I have 3 free transfers, 1.6 million in the bank. I have Palmer, Salah, Mbeumo, Garnacho. Wait 1 week.
Foden to Saka? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I would wait 1 week. I would wait to see the cup games tonight. If Foden gets like a rest, because Pep sounded like he's going to play like a B team, then I'd be pretty comfortable not making that move yet. You already have Salah, you already have Palmer. I think you're in a very good place. I'll just give Foden another chance.
If you've got Havertz in your team, maybe I'd look at Havertz going out to one of the other strikers that we've discussed today. In my opinion, the order would be Raul Jimenez, followed by Wissa, followed by Cunha. But really and truly, you could go for either of those 3.
Yeah, any of them could do well, right? What else do we have? So get rid of DCL was a common topic. Buffy's in a similar boat. Need to sell Trent to get to Salah. It hurts so bad. Jukebox says Wissa fixtures good long term. What else do we have? keep TAA by Darwin, stuff Salah. So that was why he was on the thumbnail, right? The debate was, could I just do like Havertz to Darwin and not sell Foden for Salah and keep Trent or something? That was one of the
So
dodgy
this is coverage.
Yeah, coverage.
It don't work. Coverage is not a thing. You know that, Nima.
I think for clean sheets only, I would say it is. But as soon as it comes to attackers, I'm sorry, like the subpar asset in the attack is not going to get you the points of the premium for me long term. This question from BW Splitter: why does everyone prefer Aina over Milenkovic and Moreno? The Nottingham Forest defense, they've been very good this season. Milenkovic is, a monster at centre back. He's more secure. Perhaps there's a set piece goal in him at this point in the season. I guess for me, it's just people like explosive fullbacks. They like the idea of
but what explosiveness has Aina showed us? Has he even got an assist?
None.
I've not gone anywhere near Nottingham Forest. I admit that they've been good defensively, but I only go for players where I've seen some form of attacking return, and they've not showed anything for me.
Murillo's also been so in the other formats to FPL. Murillo and Milenkovic are like one of the early round picks because they just get so many points for all the defensive work they do, stuff FPL doesn't give points for. So I think in other formats that have more rich ways of scoring in the game, you would not be looking to go for Aina over the centre-back pairing. Like, they are fantastic. So get the ones you enjoy watching. If you want to watch and just root on like a Milenkovic headed goal on a corner, buy him instead. Don't go with the masses with Aina. So Darnish asks, would you remove Watkins and Saka for Salah and Cunha for a -4? It's similar to you, except for Havertz instead of Watkins.
Pretty much the same. As in, I could do that and bring in Salah and Cunha as well. Can you answer this one? Because this is my own conundrum. Go on, Nima.
I wouldn't do it for a -4.
I wouldn't. Watkins has a bloody brilliant record against Tottenham.
This is where the bias comes in. Don't own any Tottenham players and don't sell players against you.
I'm keeping Watkins because he has a really good record against Tottenham. And that hurts, but he does.
I'm assuming Darnish doesn't have the luxury of being able to sell Havertz, though, like you. So you can keep Watkins that extra week, whereas I'm not sure he can. Let us know, Darnish. Okay, so what else do we have? A couple of small questions. Trigger talks FPL. Is it worth all the effort bringing in Salah just to sell him in 3 weeks? So I think I'm one of the few people talking about selling him for Palmer at the time. I think most people already own Palmer and will just be keeping. So I'm in that unique situation where I'm going to have Saka, Haaland, and Salah. So one of the three will have to go to get Palmer, and I want Palmer. So maybe I'll just keep Salah, Trigger. Maybe it's just Haaland goes once he gets to that Tottenham and Liverpool fixture. Maybe I just sell him.
It depends on your propensity for risk and like what your style of play is. For me, like I like to shift in and out. That's why my team value is low, but it can work. So it depends on your style of play. And if it's something that you're considering doing, just take that into consideration as well, I'd say.
Absolutely. This question is from Animations. How many games do you think Foden will play this month? Premier League only. I assume you mean November. So it's 3 games in November. Bournemouth away, Brighton away, international break, Spurs home. Then the next game is Liverpool away on the 1st of December. So in the next 3, Bhuna, Bournemouth away, Brighton away, Spurs home. We have the cup game that we think he's rested in today. We have the UCL game next week that he might play.
I think he'll play all 3.
You reckon?
I think he's an important player. And Pep's slowly bedding him back in. Pep does that. So I think he'll play all 3, especially with the KDB news that he's going to be most likely out till after international break. They need
okay, I hadn't seen that. Okay, so that might change.
And that's a non-Charles Watts comment.
That's a non-Charles. What is that? Spion Cop or the other one of your many other names?
No, that's real news from as far as I'm aware.
Cool. So Shaz says Watkins and Foden out to Raul and Salah in. -4 hold or make the transfer.
It can go either way. I reckon they'll both end up cancelling each other out. In which case, it's probably worth it because then you've got the 2 players that you want.
Yeah, if they're the players you want long term, like that's the thing. I feel like Foden could return this game week, but
he's got a very good record against Bournemouth, Nima.
Yeah,
that's why and that's why when you're talking about getting rid of him, I'm a bit like I'm not sure.
I just think Saka plays more minutes, is on pen.
Could you bring Salah in any other way?
Let me have one last look. I could sell Saka if I was feeling
If
bullish.
you weren't, but you don't want to sell him. So what's your other two strikers?
Havertz.
Calvert-Lewin and Havertz.
So Havertz, I could kill the Havertz spot, and I could play Dibbling against Everton, but his halftime sub doesn't fill me with confidence that Dibbling is going to.
But what if you did? What if you did Trent, Havertz, and who's your midfield? What's your other midfielders?
So if instead of Cunha, I went for Larson, which I know you didn't like, Strand Larson, because he's 1 million cheaper. Not even. Okay. So I can afford Havertz to like
Raul?
Yeah, maybe to Raul and Saka to Salah. Let's see. Yeah, I can afford that with 0.5 in the bank. So I could do Saka and Havertz to Salah and Raul, roll one free transfer and bank $500,000 to play Foden.
Havertz. Oh, you've got both Saka and Havertz as well?
I've got Saka, Havertz, Foden. And this team would keep Trent. I'll show you. So this is if I did just.
You could do Saka. Oh my God, I'm here thinking about doing those transfers for a -4.
So I can do this and roll, and I can roll a third transfer as well,
and keep Trent,
and keep Trent, and
you're
keep
biased. If you don't do that, you're biased.
Yeah, you know what? You are right, but I truly think when I look at Bournemouth, Brighton, Tottenham, just going back to the question of will Foden, how many of these games will Foden play, right, from animations? I truly think if I compare those fixtures between the players, I think Saka in Newcastle, Chelsea, Forest will outscore Foden in Bournemouth, Brighton, Tottenham. That's the way I see it. But you are right that I wouldn't then need to sell Trent. So my next thing is if I get Raul instead of Cunha, because I hadn't really considered it, that's 0.8 million less. So could I then afford Salah for Foden still? And no, I can't see. So it's that Trent to Ait-Nouri move. So I can't really do Havertz to Raul, Foden to Salah.
Get rid of Gabriel instead.
And keep Trent.
Yeah.
So like this.
Precisely.
You know what? So you're basically
that's what you want. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But so you're basically showing me that what might hold me back this game week is the bias of either keeping Saka or Gabriel, because if I just got rid of them the same way I'm willing to get rid of Havertz, the amount of options that open up to me are significant. I could have Trent for these free fixtures with Salah, and I can not worry about selling Saka. So it's like, do I? Yeah, okay. So then why don't we say this then? So what? Saka and Trent. Now this sounds crazy. I'm trying to compare what this would have been. So what's the alternative? No, sorry. So Gabriel. Is that the options? Gabriel and
just refresh it to what the team is.
Yeah. What the actual team is. Yeah. So you're saying sell Gabriel, not Trent, and maybe sell Saka, not Foden. They're both viable options, aren't they?
Well, what I'm saying is just reset it back to what the team was for a second.
Yeah. Or like in this mode, the pick team mode.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm going to go back onto transfers. Sorry. So it's
let's go transfers.
Yeah, and now get rid of Gabriel, Havertz.
So that leaves 4.7 million in the bank and one transfer.
Yeah, so it has to be one of those two in the midfield, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially if I'm going to be keeping Trent, right? Whereas my thinking was, if it was Gabriel I kept and Trent that went, I'd have how much money left? I'd have 5.
Would you be up for a would you be up?
I would take a hit.
-4?
Yeah. What kind of -4? Juicy -4.
This is what I'm thinking. All right, so scroll down a little bit. All right, so get rid of Gabriel.
Oh yeah, let's get rid of. Let me put Trent back in for now.
Put Trent back in. Get rid of Gabriel. Get rid of. That's fine. Get rid of Rodgers. All right, let me see how much you got. Now get rid of Trent. Now put Salah in.
Oh yeah, let's put Salah in first. Ooh.
All right, so now you've kept Saka, Foden, you've got Salah, and you've got Haaland as well as Raul Jimenez. Defensively, okay, you want someone 4.2 that starts. You're probably.
I need someone who plays the Greaves.
You're probably looking at You're probably looking at Van den Berg, who you're not going to play. I know this isn't your probably style of play, but I'm just trying to show you the different options.
I don't know how close Rico Henry is to a return, but it
I
doesn't
don't think he'll be
sound
back
like it.
just yet.
Oh, but it's the whole Brentford problem again.
No, but you don't need to start him this week, do you?
No, I can't even buy him because I'll have 4 Brentford
Oh,
players. Yeah,
shit.
yeah. So I need a sub 4. I need a 4.2 million. Keane is going to get dropped for Brantwaite as well, right? Yeah, I think it's slim pickings, man. Even Hall is 4.3.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're not going to want to go that
Wout
light
Feist?
defense because
Wout Feist?
no, bro, man can't even fucking defend. What did he do for Wood there? He's definitely got Wood in his fantasy team.
But look at that. This
clown.
is like, it's almost like it was meant to be. 4-point hit. Oh
I
my
wouldn't
God.
do it. I wouldn't. As nice as
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah, I can't roll out a team with Lewis,
I
Ait-Nouri, and
think-
Mikalenko every week in the back
I think
line.
I think the best bet for you personally, and I know you're not going to do this, but if I was you, was I'd do Saka and Havertz to Salah and Raul, and I would roll the transfer.
That feels really nice. 1 free transfer, 500,000.
You've got
That feels-
Foden, who's got a brilliant record against Bournemouth.
And I
You
keep
managed
Trent.
to keep Salah and Trent, and
So
you've
what?
still got Haaland.
But then what do you do, I guess, to say come game week 12 when I want Saka back? So what's the plan then?
Game week
Is
12,
that-
he
is that
plays
when I
home
start-
to Nottingham. He's home to Nottingham Forest, who are defensively strong. He's not even an immediate rush to buy, bro.
But so where's Palmer for if we go to midfielders real quick?
If anything, I would sell Haaland.
So what? But okay, how about this? If I wanted Palmer for Leicester, right?
You've got a free transfer. You'll probably have 2 free transfers. Then get rid of Haaland and Dibbling, bring in Palmer and maybe Jackson, if you can afford it. Which you can.
I don't know about Jackson, but let's say
Just showing you options. Only because
yeah.
the fixture. I'm sure I'm telling you what I would like to do because I told you I like doing pairs, right? So
I could do Palmer and Cunha there. Okay, and then I still
you've
have
got money.
2.8. Okay, but there's some. Calvert-Lewin would need to have long gone by then, actually. So I don't know if I'll have rolled yet. He is leaving. I can't look at him after Southampton. He's leaving, bro.
You do realize, yeah, you've got 3 frees. If you did Saka, Havertz, and Calvert-Lewin out, you could bring in Salah, Wissa, and Raul Jimenez.
Only if I get rid of one of these goalkeepers. I need to.
Fuck! I forgot. Yeah,
they ruined me, man.
Oh, you ruined yourself, bro.
When I wildcarded in game week 6, I was convinced Wissa was out till after the November international break. I don't know why or where I got that information from, but clearly I was completely wrong.
And imagine if you could do it, you could do that for free. I have to take a -8 for that.
Shit. So you know what? I might be messaging you on Saturday if I sell Saka and Havertz or sell Gabriel and Havertz instead of the whole Trent move or the Foden move out. I'll definitely be messaging you to let you know I've come around to that way of thinking because you know what? I'm also talking about enjoying the game, right? And why we pick certain players. I'm the kind of person where if my team and their players score, like if Saka gets a hat trick, I'll be happy regardless of FPL. Like, I don't care. So it's kind of like
regret it. If you sell him, you'll regret it.
No, but then I'll be more likely, I think, to regret if like now someone like Foden or Trent goes on a massive run, and I'm like, fuck, like. Whereas I'd be
which wouldn't surprise you. It shouldn't surprise you, knowing what they've done in previous seasons.
I know. I'll keep looking into it. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think about it hard. Now this has been fun, Rahul. I think we've got all the questions out the way as well. But yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about your team, what you're planning to do for the game week. Let's do a couple of shout outs before we get out of here. So we've got all our members, our key holders and master key holders. We've got Greenback Golf, Gary Horwood, David Harrison, and Roberto. We have our key holders, Podner, Kevin Rose, Blonde, FPL Teacher, Tom, Lindsay, Dom, Claire, Tursks, Catherine A, Harry Not Kane, Benjamin Lockwood, FPL Discomfort, Grady, Jasper and Singh, BW Splitter, FPL Juice Show, and our Patreons, Elron, FPL California, Mike Burke, and Dr. Green Farm. If you enjoyed today's show, guys, please do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're live normally every Wednesday around 6 or 7 p.m. We go through our plans for myself and our guest in terms of what our decisions are for following game week. And we learn more about our guests' play style, how they got into FPL, and favorite memories. So it's been an honor to have you here, Charles Watts, aka FPL Bhuna. People can find you on X on the link in the video description and podcast description. Please do keep a lookout for whatever elaborate plans he has for this weekend for the late team news about many assets that I'm sure we're all worried about and nervously waiting for news about. And yeah, any last messages, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Just focus on attention to detail, guys. If anyone's to blame, it's yourself. And on that note, have a good game week.
Thank you, Bhuna. And yeah, guys, it's better you get Bhuna'd than you get cyber fraud for your bank details or identity. So use his fake team news as an opportunity to improve due diligence in other areas of cyber crime. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, Charles Watts. Thank you for joining us tonight. And good luck, everyone. May you get green arrows in game week 10, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye.